My name is Dale Comstock. On behalf of T3 Tactical, what I'd like to do is share some training tips as it concerns ballistic breaching and the use of the shotgun. A little bit about my background. I've got 20 years in the Army. 10 of that is in Delta Force as a breacher. 5 years in 3rd Special Forces Group of Light and Heavy Weapons Expert, and about 4 years in 82nd as an infantryman. Also served about 9.5 years with our government as a paramilitary operative, and during that time I've had a lot of experience as well when it came to breaching in Afghanistan, Iraq, and other places around the world. What I want to talk about is shotgun breaching and two of the most salient points, safety issues I see when shotgun breaching. The first one is the sequence of rendering the weapon safe before you join your assault team and go into a room. The second one is angles of the breach itself, as far as the angle that you're going to shoot downward or upward into the locking mechanisms of the door, which I'll discuss here in a little bit more detail in a second. So the first thing is shotgun safety, breacher safety. Okay, it's the breacher's responsibility to get a positive breach on the door. His second responsibility is, once he positively breached the door, is to clear that doorway so that the rest of the assault element can get in. Prior to moving, okay, the first thing he wants to make sure that he does is he puts that weapon on safe. After the weapon is on safe, which can all be done in one movement, then he's going to step out, clear the breach point, allow the assault team to go past. As they're doing that, he's obviously transitioned to his primary weapon, and he's going to follow into the stack and into the room. Now, some of the problems I've seen in the past is breachers get a little anxious and move a little too quickly, and they forget to put the weapon back on safe. The problem with that is, if you've got a round already in the chamber, okay, you haven't safed the weapon, next thing you're going to do is what? You're going to sling the weapon off to the side so that you can transition to your rifle and enter. The problem with it is, now you have a shotgun usually just slung to your side. They could easily get caught on something where the trigger mechanism is engaged, and you have a negative discharge either into your leg or somebody else's leg, or something like that, which I've seen happen more than once with a breaching shotgun. So the breacher's got to make sure every time before he steps out of that breach point, the weapon's on safe. Then he can sling it to a side and transition. By the time he does all that, the assault elements have already passed him. All he's got to do is fall into the rear and into the room. As a breacher, of course, when you're breaching a door, you always have to be prepared for that contingency. What if, when you take that shot, either somebody else is going to opens the door, which I've seen that happen, and a bad guy or a good guy, or you breach the door, it opens up, and you've got now a bad guy standing on the side of the doorway, and now you have to engage with that shotgun. So those are things to think about as far as shotgun manipulation is concerned, and what you need to be thinking about as far as either coming back safely and enjoying your element in the rear as you enter a room, or being the first guy through that door. Obviously, going through a breach point with a shotgun is not an ideal situation. So you should train for that potentiality as well, because you never know. You might be the first guy in with that shotgun, whether you want to or not, and you're probably going to be down one or two or maybe more rounds inside your weapon. So what you got is what you got. And I hope you got a good transition drill to go to your backup when things get a little heated. So the other point I want to talk about is, angles of the shotgun when you're actually breaching the door itself. Now, ideally, you want to shoot downward at a 45-degree angle. Now, if you're shooting hinges, obviously you're going to have to shoot one of those hinges, the top hinge, at a 45-degree angle. That's not a problem so much because the round's going to go up. If it goes through the door, it's probably going to go into the ceiling or something like that. And if you're shooting at the bottom hinge, it's going to go down a 45-degree angle, not a problem there. The hinge you have to concern yourself with is the one that's in the middle of the door. Now, it's not necessarily a big problem. All you're going to have to do is angle that shotgun so that you're shooting downward at a 45-degree angle or a little bit steeper, so that basically you're shearing all the screws that are holding that hinge into the door. My biggest concern is always breaching the throw on a bolt or on a doorknob. Okay, because it's really easy to get in a hurry, in your haste, not get that 45-degree angle, bring that muzzle down or bring that muzzle up to level to the ground, put a round or two through the doorway, and then hit an innocent person on the other side of the door, which obviously is a problem. Now, you could also hit a bad guy on the other side, but what happens if you shoot a good guy or a bad guy right up against the doorway? Let's say the bad guy was walking up to open the door, or a good guy was going up to open the door when you shot through and you shot him head on somewhere in a center mass, maybe in the pelvic area or in the chest or something, and you either kill him or you knock him down instantly. Now you've got a body laying behind a shotgun door, behind a door, and with that weight, it's going to be very hard for the assault team to push through because basically you've got a human doorstop holding you up. Of course, there's issues with that because now you've got the entire assault element in that fatal funnel, and you risk getting people hurt as well as compromising your mission. So what we want to do is shoot at a 45-degree angle downward if at all possible. I would rather hit a good guy or bad guy in the leg, in the butt, rather than shooting them somewhere high in the pelvic area or center mass and having him become a doorstop for me. Of course, I don't want to shoot an innocent person at all if I can help it. So those are the two most salient safety issues I've come across in many, many years of preaching. And T3 Tactical has a solution to aid you into getting a better angle when you're breaching. They've got two apparatuses. They've got the stud, and then they have what's called a stud breacher, basically. The stud in itself is nothing more than a tactical illumination, ultra illuminating device. Okay, but it's basically a gun light that attaches to the bottom of the magazine tube or the end of the magazine tube on a shotgun. Now it has a white light in there. I'm sure you could put a red filter on there if you wanted to make it a red filter illuminator. But either way, you have a built-in illuminator or light on the bottom, and as well as on the edge of the light itself, on the outer bevel there, you've got basically a serrated edge so that you can kind of get a bite, especially on a wooden door, with that device. So you can put it right up against the door, and it kind of grabs the door on a wooden door and holds it in place for you. Not so good for metal doors, but for wooden doors it's great. I particularly like the stud breacher. It's the same device, except it doesn't have a light built into it. And it's a little bit longer, it's a little bit further out in front of the barrel. And what it allows me to do is get a good bite on the door, allows me to get the proper angle so that I get that 45-degree shot into the throw. On the stud breacher, what they have designed was they've cut 45-degree angles on the ends of the breacher itself, so that you get the right, when you place it up there flush against the door, you've got that 45-degree angle naturally because of the that adjunct device on the bottom. The ends are very sharp, so you actually get a little bit of a bite in the door. Not so much obviously in a metal door, but you still get the right angle because the way it's cut. You just place it up against the metal door, and then fire your one or two shots, and then again go through your safety procedures as you withdraw off the door, and then fall into the formation.